It's time for another HACS video. Today we'll be looking at 2 front-end and also 2 of the integrations. We'll start in a couple of seconds. As the title says, we are going to see 4 components. But since the first one is a little bit complex, let's dive straight into it. First integration we are going to see today is GTFS, but actually not this one. I did try to get this integration working at least 5 or 6 times in the last 5 or 6 years. And unfortunately, whatever I did, somehow the files provided by my transportation company, not actually mine because it is already too much in depth, but the city where I live in, it didn't work with it. So when some time ago I've seen that there is a HACS version of GTFS, I said, well, that's the one I should look at. So let's jump into HACS. In HACS, go to Integrations, click on Explore and Download Repositories, and type in GTFS, and you should be presented with the GTFS2 for Home Assistant. Let's click on it. Let's click on Download. The latest version at the time of the recording is version 0.3.7 and click Download. This integration is unfortunately not for everyone, and it depends on the area, city, region, country, whatever you live at, because this data must be provided by your transportation company. Since this integration requires restart, we'll be looking at documentation while the Home Assistant restarts. So what actually GTFS is? This is a standard that allows companies to share timetables, traffic information, route codes, bus stations, train stations, underground stations, etc. between themselves and the public, or themselves and other companies. For example, if I'm not mistaken, Google is trying to pull all of that GTFS information from all the metropolitan areas in the world to create a layer on top of its own map on where the bus or train stops are, what is the schedule, and what is the route. And based on that data, it can then tell you what route to take. But why is that awesome to have in Home Assistant? Well, it can actually tell you when to leave your apartment to catch the train, tram, bus, underground, whatever you're taking to get to location where you need to go. But the installation is also not that simple. This is the easy part, the HACS part where you install it, restart Home Assistant. Now the hardest part is to find the GTFS data source for your city. For example, for Zagreb, town where I live, Z or Zagreb Electrical Tram, which is the name of the company, does publish GTFS data. There are also 2 types of data. There is static data, which is something that is normal, I would say, for all the companies to publish, if they publish, and there is also real-time data feed. Real-time data feed should allow you to actually pinpoint where the actual bus or whatever is located on the map. Not just according to schedule, but where it's actually moving on the map. This is not something that is mandatory, but it can improve your experience. What you need to do is you need to copy the URL, because we will need that URL inside Home Assistant. On the GitHub repository of the author, if you click on documentation, you already have a list of couple of cities, regions, where you can see what is supported. B stands for bus, T stands for tram, if it works, if it has real-time info, etc., etc. Plus, of course, the link to that GTFS file. If you do not see your city here and my city is not here, you can do a quick search. Again, for testing purposes, I found this GTFS file for the Prague or Praha. And yes, on the page there is static information, but also real-time information. Home Assistant has restarted. Let's go to Settings, Integrations, click on Add Integration, type GTFS, and now we have 2 options. The original one, which unfortunately is not working for me, and then the other one, GTFS2, General Transit Feed Specification. We'll click on that one, and the whole setup process will take some time. It can take up to a couple of hours, because what the system now has to do, after we fill in all the required information, it has to connect to that feed and pull the file. Those files can be anywhere between 1 meg to hundreds and hundreds of megabytes in size. Then after it is downloaded, it has to be unpacked and it needs to create a database of all of that information. So depending on the size of your region, but also that file, speed of the system, etc., it can take some time. We'll set up a new data source. We will be using URL, type in the name, Z, this is the name of our transportation company. I will paste here the URL, and we will be using URL. If you are using a zip file, first you need to download the file, then you need to copy that file to GTFS2 folder. If you didn't create that folder, when you start the configuration process, the folder will be created for you. So inside the root folder or config folder Home Assistant, just create GTFS2 folder, drop the file there, and then type in the name instead of URL here. But as I said, I will be using URL because it's also easier to later on update the file. And yes, this file gets updated. This depends on the transportation company in your area. I think that for Zagreb it is every 3 months. Click on Submit. It is still currently downloading the file. After it finishes downloading the file, it will say that it is still extracting data. This will take some time. You can close the window. So everything is currently working in the background. Again, depending on the speed of the system and the size of the file, it can take up to a couple of hours. On my Raspberry Pi 4, the yellow that I have, it took around 30-40 minutes. If you're not sure if the system has hung or not, you can go to Visual Studio Code or file editor of your choice. I have here old folder, but we also have a new folder, and in the new folder we have 3 files: z.sqlite, z.sql-journal, and z.zip. This file was automatically downloaded by the system. This is the database that is getting built right now, and this one here is a temporary file. If you see this file here, it means that the system still hasn't finished whatever it needs to do to build a database. When the system finishes this importing process, this file will get removed. Some 12 minutes on this system and it looks like it finished. This is just my guess because the CPU went down and also the memory usage. And yes, we only have those 2 files here, SQLite and the zip file. Okay, finally we can start playing with this one. Let's go to Settings, Integrations, Add Integration, one more time. Type in GTFS, select GTFS2, and then we can start. The first thing you should do is create a schedule. There are also other things. I will not be going through all of the things that you can do with this integration, because this integration deserves more than just one video or one part of the video. Let's create schedule, select source, we will use all but excluding trains, and then I need to find route. Route is, in our case here locally, a number that specifies a specific line. For example, line 14 goes from this point to that point. All trams have either single or double digit, while buses have 3 digits. So for example, if I type in 101, this is the line of the bus, but if I only select one, it says that this is Zapadni Kolodvor or the West Railway Station to Borongaj, which is a neighborhood in the city. Let's, for example, select this one. Then I want to select outbound, not a return drive. That means that I'm selecting this line from point A to point B and all the stops on that route or that side of the route, not vice versa. Let's click Submit. Now you have to select individual stops. Each stop has some unique identifier, which I really do not know what it means, and it also has the name plus also the numbering. This is the first, second, third, fourth, etc. station. I will select, for example, from this one here up until this one here. I will give it a name, test route. You can include tomorrow's schedule if you want and click Submit. The first time you do this, it usually takes a couple of seconds more than it would normally do because it's also creating some indexes behind the scene. Click on Finish. If we click on the integration, we see that we have test route that has one service and one entity. If we click on Service, we can see that the next tram on that route will be coming to the station in 5 minutes. But this is actually not everything you can do, and this may not be even helpful for you. Let's go back, let's click Configure, and here you can select additional data. This is data refresh interval. For trams, for example, it's every 2 minutes. And then you have option to select an offset. For example, it takes you 10 minutes to walk to that specific station. So you would put here 10. That means that it will ignore all the trams that are arriving in the period because you cannot reach the station, and you are looking only for the trams that will be there at the station after you arrive. Then you have option to set up real-time integration. Click on this, click on submit, and now you have to specify the URL for the trip data, URL to vehicle position, to alerts, API key if required, and X API key also if required. In my Zagreb case, I can once again copy the URL, paste it, and click submit. After the next update, it should look something like this. For example, if you have multiple lines, multiple stations, trams, buses, etc. added to your system. This one here has also offset of 10 minutes, meaning that it will only show the trams that will arrive if I leave home now and reach the station in 10 minutes. These here do not have any offset, and they just show how long before the next bus on those bus stops goes away. But there is also one neat functionality. For example, you want to know the information about the stops that are near you. There is a way on how you can do that. Let's click on Add Entry. Instead of creating stops here, we will create a schedule based on your vicinity. Click on it, select source, and then use either zone or person or whatever provides longitude and latitude info. For example, this one here, give it a name and click submit. Now it will find all the tram, bus or whatever stops are in 300 meters radius from that entity. You can add it, and it says that this is the next stop. And if we open attributes, you can see a list of all the transit vehicles that are arriving or leaving that station with the next scheduled departure. For more information on how to create screens like this, how to overlay it on the map, how to get notifications, etc., I strongly recommend that you go to GitHub repository. Don't forget to give start to this repository. And in the wiki section, you can go through all of the customization steps that you're interested in. But let's now jump to some other HACS integrations. This one will be fast and furious. And it's another weather card. Let's go to frontend, click on Explore, type in Simple, and select Simple Weather Card. If you are looking for a clean, neat, not clutter card, I think that this one will be for you. Let's click on Download, Download. At the time of the recording, the latest version is version 0.8.5, and click on Reload. For the starters, we will copy the example code here, but I will not copy that one there. I will instead copying this one here. And yes, if you do like this card, don't forget to click on 3 dots, repository, and give developer a star to say thanks. Click on Add Card, we'll type manual for the empty card, and paste the code here. We still need to format it properly, and we need to provide our own weather service here. I have 3 options here. I will be going with Weather Home. And now you also have other options to customize things. For example, you can remove the secondary information. If you want to remove the name, which is this one here, forecast bearded has.io, you type in the name, column, and then the quotes with the space inside, click on Save, and you will have one nice, neat, simple weather information card. We can return the secondary information, and now everything you need to know about the weather in your area is here. But you can also play with the backgrounds, and for that I do suggest that you go to the GitHub repository and read the documentation there. Second card I wanted to show you today is the card I have installed in all of my systems, but unfortunately I also forget that I have that card and use it rarely. But it's really awesome card. What it allows you to push notifications by typing the notifications you want to send directly in your Lovelace or UI. Let's type here Notify, select Notify card, click on Download and Reload. That's it. We'll copy the example code here, add card, manual, and replace this with the code we just copied from the GitHub documentation or repository. What you need to do here is need to customize the target. Target is notification service or end device that will be receiving notifications. This can be either a list of devices or services, or it can be a single device. For example, in this case, it would be pushing notification to Living Room TV. In my case, I have LG WebOS TV integrated inside Home Assistant, so I can push notifications from here to my TV. But I will not be using that. I will be using this one. It's called Bearded Bot. I will copy the name from this service, go back to Overview, HACS, edit and replace this with bearded bot. And now if I type anything here on this screen, it will push that notification to my Telegram on my mobile phone. But you can further customize it. For example, label. This is Notify TV. It can be Telegram Me. Card title can be anything you want to do. A notification can be notification. But you can also type something different. Notification from the UI. Click Save. And if I type now anything here, you can see down below notification for Home Assistant UI, subscribe please. As I said, you can specify multiple platforms where you can push notifications. For example, to Google speakers, Amazon speakers, Alexa speakers, if you have them in Home Assistant, push to various services such as Telegram, persistent notifications, wherever you want to push them. And yes, you can have mix and match of multiple services inside this one card, which is a really awesome card. But sometimes I just forget that I have it in my UI. And I'm not joking. Enough fooling around, let's click on Explore Download in the HACS integrations and type in jokes. This integration was recommended to me, I think, almost 2 years ago in one of the streams. I installed it and I had so much blast with it. But be careful with this integration and exclude it from logging or ending up in your database, because it will be pushing you one new joke every minute. And those are the lame dad jokes. Let's click on download, download, and that's it. We now have to restart our Home Assistant. And we are back. In integrations, on the integrations page, type in joke, select jokes, finish, go to your UI, wherever you want to see your jokes, click on add card. There may be better cards for this, but I'm always using entities card for that one. Random joke. And save. And now every minute your system will refresh the jokes and you will be seeing a new one. Have you heard of the band 1023 Megabyte? They haven't had a gig yet. Or don't interrupt someone working intently on a puzzle. Chances are you'll hear some crosswords. I know, the jokes are pretty lame, but it's really awesome to have something in your Home Assistant to brighten up your day. I hope that you did enjoy this video, and if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And while you're already here, clicking the like button, check that you are subscribed. If you are not subscribed, click the subscribe button because I'm trying to reach 1 million subscribers in the next couple of weeks. And I really would like to thank all those wonderful people that are supporting me and that have become YouTube channel members. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But let's not forget each and every one of you who has watched, liked, subscribed, shared, commented on my videos and much more. Thank you too. If you too want to support the channel, you can do so by clicking the join button down below, and for only €2 or $2 per month becoming a YouTube channel member, or you can go to my merchandise store and get something there. Plus, you can always do a super thanks and I will be super thankful for that. I will be seeing you next time. Until then, bye bye and have fun.